Hi legends, how you going? Today I want to talk to you about my Cipollini Bond. I'm going to probably put a couple of videos out about some of my bikes, but this is definitely the other favourite that I have apart from my specialised roubaix. Shall we have a look? Okay, let's do it. So we'll start from the top and work our way down, shall we? I hope this is alright because it's very bright today. But starting from the handlebars, you'll see I've got a 3T handlebar and stem configuration. I think it's a 42mm set of bars. Lizard skin, they're lizard skin bar tape. And because in Australia we have to have bells, I'm not sure what it's like overseas, but it's about $115 fine if you don't have a bell on your bike. So I have a bell underneath my Garmin mount. Pretty good stuff. So we've got Ultegra shifters. It's a Di2 bike. So we've got the Ultegra there, rear derailleur, Ultegra chainring. It's a mid-compact, but I've got a 34 on the inner ring. I had that changed. Durace pedals, and the Cassette is a 11 to 32. It's got a longer cage rear derailleur to accommodate it. Works perfectly being Di2. There's show you the Di2 there, front derailleur. So you have, I'll just try and get a bit of a close up on the how well attention to detail there is in the frame. It is really amazing, the attention to detail in this frame. It's an Italian frame, if you don't know Cipollini, by Mario Cipollini. I've got the Swiss Stop carbon pads. I have used the Reynolds carbon pads. These yellow ones are just as good. Reynolds recommends you use the CTG blue pads, but I prefer the yellow ones. And just speaking of Reynolds, you can see that I've got carbon wheels, the carbon SLG Assaults. Yep. And they are incredibly stiff and light. Perhaps not the greatest of climbing wheels, but you know, look at me. I'm not exactly Cadell Evans or Richy, so it doesn't really matter to me in terms of climbing. I'm more concerned with flats and sprints, although I don't race. This is the Bond, of course, which has a little bit more relaxed geometry in the frame. And the carbon itself isn't as stiff as the higher end Cipollinis, the 1000 Torre carbon. This is 700, so it's a little bit more forgiving, but nevertheless it is stiff, one of the stiffest bikes I've ever ridden. And that's because of this bottom bracket. The bottom bracket is massive. And it's called the Bond because it's actually two parts. It's bonded in two parts. So you look at this is where they bond it, and they bond it up here too. Whoops. So here in the triangle there, it's all bonded. It's not a monocoque type situation. So that is why it's called the Bond, although it's marketed as some sort of half-assed James Bond commercial if you look at the commercials that Mario Cipollini's doing. And it's called the Atom Link system. See there along the chainstay. So what else do I have on this? So it's I use a Durace chain on the bike. It's an Ultegra Cassette. You know, why don't you have it slammed? Well, because it's uncomfortable, and I'm not that flexible, and I'm, you know, not a spring chicken anymore. So I much prefer it a bit more of an upright position, and I do a lot of endurance riding, so having it slammed is more for your crit and type, but I'm a Grand Fondo type, so I much prefer the more upright position. And if I need to get down low and aero, well, I can get down on the drops. So it's a Pro logo seat. I love these seats. They are very comfortable. There doesn't look a lot of it, but for some reason it fits my bum just nicely. The cages, they came with the bike, so they're Cipollini carbon cages. There's the fork, a brilliant stiff fork. I've also got stages. So for my purposes anyway, that's all I need, and I've never had a problem with it. Just as a bit of a tip perhaps, is that I tend to cover the stages with some black tape to help it with waterproofing, because as you know, they've had a bit of a reputation for being a little bit relaxed when it comes to waterproofing. So I just put some tape there, and I've never had a problem. And I've had it for 2 years, this stages. So so if you've got one, definitely put some tape on there. It's nothing to change it out when you have to change batteries. As you can see, made in Italy, an Italian frame. So I'm very happy with this bike. Very happy. It's a bike that I will never sell. And if you get one, you'll never want to sell it either. It's like the Colnagos of its time. So, fully recommended. Oh, one last thing. Carbon seat post. That's my Fly 6. But it's a carbon seat post. If you can see the detail in the carbon there, it's just amazing. I hope you can see it in this light, but fully recommend this bike. One other tip too: when you're storing your bike, you never want to keep it in the big chainring. Always shift it to the small chainring and shift to the small cog at the back. The reason for that is it takes tension off the springs in the rear derailleur, and you'll get much longer use out of your rear derailleur, and you won't stretch your chain. It'll last much longer, and as a result I get about 6,000 or 7,000 kilometres out of my chains, and very rarely do I have to change a rear derailleur. In fact, only once, and that was when my chain broke it off. It got tangled in the rear derailleur. It wasn't because, you know, the springs gave out or anything. So there's a tip for you: small up the front and small down the back of the cassette when you're storing your bikes. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe and let me know what you want me to talk about if you have any questions. I've got a couple more bikes that I'd like to feature as well, so those will be coming in due course. So until then, catch you later.